was on the phone with my mom. Y'all seen that chat? For real, bro. You talking about I was on the phone with my mom? Look. That's how you know I made the melody. I made this shit myself, nigga. Every single one of these hoes. Cannot be like I'm using midis. Oh, he using sample packs. No, nigga. No, sirree, Bob. This all from scratch. Proprietary process, motherfucker. Come on now. Come on. Let me see some W's in the chat for proprietary concept process. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me get some W's in the chat for proprietary process, please. W's. Let me get some W's. This is an integral part of the process. Excuse me, I've been drinking beer. Excuse me. You gotta take the melody out, cause this is the rapping part. This is the melody right here. Y'all can't see me point at the screen with my hands, so let me point with my mouse. This right here, these three, that's the main part of your sound. So when niggas are rapping, but it's like the verse, that's what the sound is gonna be like. So it's gonna be this. a melody for the hood. And you don't want it to be that complicated because you want your sounds and your synths and your chords to be what carry the emotion. If you want your song to be spooky, scary, sexy, silly, it's all gonna be in the chords, and then those chords are. Then you take it down to the pads, and then based off of those chords, you take those same, if it's A, B, or 1, 2, 3, like you've got the major or minor scale chord progressions or scale codes, whatever the chord codes, whatever you want to call it. You take those notes and you just flingle them around in a way that sounds interesting and make that for a melody. So you just want everything to be simple though. You want everything to be, because someone's gonna rap over this. And so when you're making beats, you want to remember, think about someone's voice being on it on every level, whether it's the drums, whether it's the melody, even if it's the mixing and mastering. Just think about, okay, someone's gonna put their voice on it. Someone's gonna rap on it. So you gotta feel the space in the music. And the best way to do that is kind of just make a whole melody, add all its layers, and then when you're done, you just subtract. The easiest thing when it comes to making beats is subtraction. If you put all your work and all your time into making everything it is that you need, you can work with less. You know what I mean? You don't need a whole lot to make beats, but you do need to do the right things. And if you have consideration, if you're a considerate person, oh man, I put this part of the beat because I know that the fans are gonna love this, or I put this part of the beat because I knew, the artist was gonna fuck with that. That's honestly really what's gonna take you super far as a producer. It's not gonna be, oh man, I made this beat and it's so fire, it's so hard, and it shits on everybody else's beat. In your mind, that's how you think it's gonna be when you're a producer, but it's not how it's gonna be when you're a producer. When you're out here making beats for people, and you're out here making some beats in general, always think about it from the perspective of you giving it to an artist. So if something sounds too busy, if something sounds too, you know what I mean, it sounds like too much, it has to be your skill as a producer to know when a little is not enough and when a lot is too much. You got to know that balance. Because like I said, you're building a space for artists to do his thing in. You know what I mean? Basically, you build in the stage, you build in, the light show, the pyrotechnics, the lights, the sounds, all that shit. And the lights and all the, the visual effects, the stage, you know what I mean? All that presentation, that's what you're building as a producer. And then you're building a platform for the artist to perform on. So just make sure that the platform that the artist is performing on they don't outshine each other. You know what I mean? Realistically, you should be making a stage that works in service to the ultimate end goal of the artist. If you're making something and it's different towards the end goal of the artist, it might take some convincing for him to get on that type of beat. If you got an artist like Skrilla, for example, Skrilla makes very dark, spacey, airy beats. If you give him a fucking TK-47 fucking hella sketchy type beat and expect him to rap on that the same way, it's not gonna work. You can't give him some bubblegum, sugary sounding chords and pink noise and super saws. Nah, bro. If you give Skrilla a track, it's gotta have tubular bells, it's gotta have sparse hats, sparse snares. It's gotta be spread out because that's the type of artist that he is. Now, if you give some bubblegum trap shit to Lil Uzi, now Lil Uzi probably gonna fuck with that bubblegum trap shit because that's his sound. So it's really up to you as a producer when you're first starting and when you're first beginning and you're first starting out to think about just as much, you just give as much space as possible. You might listen to a beat and be like, this is boring. And that's because you don't see the vision. And that's why it's better as a producer, especially when you're first starting, try to work with an artist. It's really hard to attune your sound to what's popular on the radio. It's real hard to do that. Popular just in society, because people don't listen to the radio no more, but that tells you my age. So, what people are listening to and what's popular, trying to emulate that sound, it can be successful for you, but ultimately you're going to find it hard to, once you branch out of that specific sound that you learned how to do, you're going to find it hard to make beats. You're going to find it hard to, make something that artists can connect with. Because that's really what it comes down to. Is if you can make something that makes somebody want to rap, it kind of doesn't really matter how good it is technically. You know what I mean? Or how much is going on in the song. Like, you made this nigga want to rap. And because you made him want to rap on your beats, he's probably going to buy it. And now you got bread in your pocket. And that's like the hardest thing to do as a producer is like sitting there and being like, what kind of sounds is going to make a producer want to rap? I mean, make a rapper want to rap. What kind of sounds is like, and that's making beats for real. You got, and that's what the listening to music and stuff is about. Is you got to be able to listen to enough of an artist and enough of a specific genre to understand, like, okay, these are the key points. These are the key elements. This is maybe what I need to focus on. You know what I mean? Maybe it is, you know, just using the right chords. You know, maybe you don't need to use the same melodies or the same plugins. It really comes down to the chords. Realistically, if you know what chords they're using, house music, 7th chords, okay? Plug beats, minor chords, right? It's a minor, major chord progression. Bunk, 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 bunk. Like that plug beat, all that is just minor, major, 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 minor, 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 major, 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 and it's like E sharp. It's like E flat, E flat minor, E flat major, D flat major. Chord progressions for that. Like, that's all you gotta know. Okay, cool. You want to make a Neptune's beat? They use 5th chords. But so once you learn that, okay, for sure, he's using minor chords, E sharp minor. He's using E flat minor for his chords. Like, you want to make a Metro Boomin type of shit. Like, you need those minor chord progressions for sure. Most trap music is made in minor chord progressions. So once you got that figured out, this is a minor chord, this is a major chord. That's half your beats. That's half the beats done right there. It's like most trap beats is 3 notes, 2 chords, and then an ARP pattern, and then maybe like a catchy melody. Now, it's simple. It sounds so simple to make up something like that, but it's hard if you don't know what you're doing. And it takes a long time, bro. Like, especially like me, like it took me a long time to figure out a lot of this shit because I didn't have like a mentor. A lot of people have mentors and stuff and someone to tell you, like, you know, a lot of y'all niggas in the chat have someone like me to tell y'all how to make beats. I did not have this. I did not have that. I had to learn all of this shit from scratch because I had nobody telling me how to make beats. I grew up in an era where you couldn't just go up on Reddit and look up the most famous sample pack, your most favorite producer, get their whole entire drum pack, drum loops, and Master Effects channel. I couldn't do that. I grew up in an era where it's like you had to listen to the music and then make the beat and just sit there and be like, I wonder how he did that. I wonder how he did that. Like, you just have to fucking figure it out, bro. You got to. Scouring Twitter. Oh my God, I would be on my favorite producer's Twitter for hours, just scrolling, hoping that he made a tweet, just saying how he made a specific beat. And it's actually, believe it or not, it's happened a lot. I'd be scrolling through Twitter, and one of my favorite producers would be like, it's wild. Like, if you look at my, chat, take a look here. If you look at my mastering bus right here, like the master channel, I got effects on the master channel. I never knew when I first started making beats about putting effects on the master channel. I never knew about that. And then, once I started putting, like, basic shit, like, now my master channel is a little bit more intense than it used to be. But before, it was just Expander, channel EQ, and some Bit Crusher. That was it. I only came in with the overdrive and the loud max and the saturation once I was going for like a different, fuller sound. You know what I mean? Like, realistically, like this kind of shit, the loud, the limiting, the saturation, the overdrive, like the distortion or overdrive past Bit Crusher, realistically, that's for like super industry niggas. Like, if you a normal motherfucker, you don't really need to do that. Especially if you're paying somebody. If you're paying somebody to mix and master your music, they're going to do all this for you. But again, like I said, I had to learn all of this shit from scratch. I had to learn everything from scratch. I had no help, no mentors. I had YouTube videos. That's it. I had YouTube, like interviews of my favorite producers. And then I had, like, a couple of homies. Like, there's a couple of homies that I had that made beats. Like, but in my immediate circle, I was the only nigga making beats, bro. And then what's super crazy is I was inspiring niggas around me to start making beats, but they wasn't trying to help me make beats. They was just trying to copy what I was doing so they could get on my level And then once they got on my level, anything that they learned after that, they wasn't even trying to really share with me for real. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Y'all wouldn't have even picked up the laptop and started making beats if you didn't see a nigga me do it. And then so, but that's beside the point. That's beside the point. I digress. But yeah, that's the basics of structuring your beats right there. I know I had a little yap session for real, but that's the basics of structuring your beats. You just want to have your melodies, start with your chords, and then just break it down from there. Then after you have your chords, you got your root notes, kind of, doing that type of thing. Then you just go in with your melodies and just, I remember I was watching this one video and it said, make your melodies based off of like one sound. Like there's one note that's the power, that's the core note in all like melodies and like all famous melodies. They're all built around like either ascending or descending to one note. And maybe that one note will repeat throughout the melody. So you want to find that one note and then build everything else around that one note. Like everywhere you want that note to hit, just lay that one down first. So maybe you might want to just go C right there, C right there, C right there. Just literally just boop, boop, boop. Like every 4 hits, C, C, C. And then you start to, using your chord progressions, using the chord progressions you made, because whatever chords you lay down, your melody, your root note, everything is going to be tied into that. Everything's going to be tied into that. If you can understand what your chords are, what the notes that make those chords are, then when you're making melodies, you just find the most infectious note of that chord progression, and then you repeat it over and over again at the most impactful moment, and then you just put the other notes that are in the chord progression that match up with your melody. You just put them around that main core note that's the most infectious to accentuate it, basically. Like, for example, if you listen to Mr. Telephone Man, that melody is iconic. Mr. Telephone Man. Like, that's fucking genius, bro. But if you listen in the back of the song, there's all these, like, you know what I mean? Look, everything returns back to that one singular note. It starts there, it goes up, it returns back, and then it descends back into that note. I'm sorry, I listen to everything by ear, so I don't actually know what the notes are, but it returns. So Teddy Riley, who produced that beat, he just took the one most infectious note, and then went, that's it. It's all the same note. But he just, just added little descending and ascending notes that really capture the audience attention. And that's really what it means to be a producer, what it means to be a beat maker, bro. Like, realistically, at the end of the day, is knowing knowing deeply what it is that you're trying to make and how it's going to affect other people. So important to being a producer. If you're making beats, you got to know how this beat that you're making in your room is going to affect the artist that you're trying to send it to. And you also got to know how your music is going to affect the audience. Once you have that level of foresight, once you have that level of thoughtfulness going into your music, everything's going to be different. It doesn't matter what genre that you make or like, it doesn't matter what genre of music you make or who you're making the beat for, bro. Like, if you make beats with intentions behind it, like, you're going to hear it. You're going to hear it. You literally can hear the difference. Like, when niggas are just making little fucking stupid ass little beats just to like be trendy and cool and shit, versus when niggas is actually making shit, like putting their heart and soul into it, like having consideration, bro. Like, you listen to Benny X beats or like Working on Dying beats, there's a lot of consideration. It's a lot of consideration. It's very simple, very mainstream, very palatable. But if you listen to like a Benny X Yeet beat, he's being very considerate of the way that Yeet's voice sounds, the aesthetic that Yeet is going for, and also how he as an artist can create that, right? So he's like, okay, this is the artist I'm working at. we're working with, and I'm an artist, right? But how can I meet my art with their art through my art and their art, which is hard. It's hard to do that. It's not easy to do. But as a producer, that is what you're doing. You are creating a stage for a sonic sound stage for your artists to do what it is that they do best. You know, if they gave Yeat, you know, a Drake beat, like even that song that Drake got on with Yeat, that's not a Drake beat. It's not a Drake beat. It's not like Yeat was like, oh, I'm on a song with Drake, let me do a Yeat beat. No, nigga, Benny X was like, I'm making a song for Yeat, and it just happens to feature Drake, because Drake is that type of nigga that's like, oh, let me rap on your song real quick. And I'm just gonna do the Drake thing, because that's what he does on every song. And the Drake thing does work sometimes. But if you notice, when Drake be doing a Drake ting, but it's not on a 40 beat, it sounds weird. I'm telling you, because 40, he takes consideration of where Drake's voice sits in the mix. And you can watch him make videos like cooking up for Drake. He will literally cut out frequencies of the beat because he knows, well, 2K, 5K, 1K to 5K, that's where Drake's vocal range is. So I cut out space in the beat to make sure his voice fits like a puzzle piece. Not every producer, not every engineer is taking that level of consideration. They're not. And low-key, you can hear it. You can hear it. You can make a good-ass beat at the end of the day, bro. You can make fire beats. You can be like, oh, this is some hard shit. But if it doesn't make rappers want to rap low-key, it's not going to work out for you. Unless you trying to be on some, like, solo dolo shit. You trying to be on some, like, instrumental shit. You know, if that's what you're trying to do, then cool. Be on an instrumental wave, bro. But just know, like, people aren't going to just listen to beats. I wish we lived in a world where people appreciated beats and instrumentals just as much as they appreciated rap music, like in rapping. But they don't. And low-key, like, look at battle rap. Like, battle rap and producing are low-key at the same level because battle rapping is rapping without the beats, and then producing and just being a producer is basically making the beats without the rapping. But you see how rap music, the fusion of both of those, are bigger than the two of them. They bigger than rap as a vehicle is bigger than production and battle rapping as individual niches. And it's simply just because, like, you are getting some when you listen to beats, you want to rap, and then when you listen to somebody rapping, you like, damn, I wish he did that over a beat. So when niggas is rapping over a beat, it's complete. I didn't even mean to rhyme like that, but it's true. It's complete. It's a complete package. So basically, I guess my best advice to producers is, like, low key, just lose the ego. That's one of the biggest things that you got to do when you're a producer is lose the ego. Because producers are just as egotistical as rappers, but they don't tell you about it because they're shy. Producers be shy as fuck. So they're not going to tell you, oh no. Like, they're not going to tell you the same way a rapper's going to tell you, like, oh, I'm hot shit, I'm the hardest in the world, bro. But you can tell. You can tell, bro. Once you start talking to these producer niggas, when you start talking to these little shy niggas and stuff like that, like, they no different than, like, a shy nigga and, like, a loud nigga. They can feel the exact same way, bro. It's just the loud niggas letting you know. Like, that's literally it, bro. So you could have some cocky ass, shy ass niggas, and a lot of those people are producers. I'll tell you that right now. A lot of the most quiet, chill ass motherfuckers that got crazy ego, it be a producer for real. Because producers be looking at themselves with, like, an exceptional Negro activity and looking at rappers and being like, oh, look how easy it is to rap, and I'm, like, doing some hard shit. Like, what I'm doing is hard. It's not easy to do what I'm doing, bro. And it's true, it's not. It's way easier to get up on a mic and rap than it is to make a beat. But also, in some instances, it's not as easy as it is to make a beat as it is to rap. And I know that's very contradicting because it's like, nigga, pick a lane. But that's really the lane for real, bro. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. Like, as somebody that actively does both on a regular basis, both rapping, like, rapping is hard in its own way because it's like, rapping is hard because it's trial and error, right? So, like, even if you're a good-ass fluent rapper, like, you still kind of have to, like, Like, you could always mess up, and you have to do it over again. When you're making a beat, you kind of just do it once and it's done, even if you fuck up. Like, there's no fucking up the beat. You just make the beat. Like, bro, I put that pattern in without listening to it because I do this. This is what I do, bro. Okay. I mean, I do. I'm not gonna lie. Like the urge to do like mad drugs is definitely popping. It's because I'm bored though. It's not because that's what you want to do in your life. You don't. You don't want to do drugs. I mean, you do, kind of a little bit.
Yo, there's some shit. What? They saying I only got 2 gigs left. What? They're leaving a time sensitive message. You left it on the bed. You didn't get back to me. Alright, cool. That's what's up. Nice. Love that for myself. I'm super chill myself. I don't remember what it is.
Okay. Ooga, gorilla, nigga. Ooga, ooga. Boom, 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 boom.
That's some horror shit, but
I'm gonna go stretch out shit that I can't control at the current moment. At the current moment, I ain't got no control over that. All right, that's the end of the stream, everybody. I had good times. I enjoyed that.